Another incident, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was asked by his wife Aisha one night, radiyallahu anha. She said, the hadith is in Bukhari by the way, she said, Ya Rasulullah, tell me about the worst time in your life that you went through. I'd like you to share with us. Maybe it's something about women, a wife, a mother, a daughter. They like their husbands or their sons or their brothers to share vulnerable moments maybe, or to go into their inner emotions and share it with them. It's something about that. Rasul ﷺ understood that about his wife, and this is how they connect. So he shared with her. He shared with her a deep emotion. However, he did not say it in detail. And that's the best thing to do, that if you had gone through something really bad, just give reference but not in detail, so that you don't turn it into a mental illness or almost like a pity or something like that. You've got to be patient. But he mentioned to her, he said to her, she actually said to him, I forgot to say, was there a more terrible time that came upon you, worse than Uhud, worse than the battle of Uhud? We all know in Uhud, Rasulullah ﷺ almost got killed. He was injured and went unconscious. One of the worst battles in which Hamza, his uncle, was radiallahu anhu, was massacred, was killed and cut to pieces, and so were his companions. Rasulullah ﷺ was horrific. And Aisha radiallahu anha says, was there more of a horrific time than that? And he said, yes. I found from your people. Now in Arabic, when you say your people, it means our people, but it's just a matter of speech. It says, I found from your people one of the worst times. In a place, he mentioned, that was near a place called Ta'if, where Rasulullah ﷺ had been sent to them as a messenger, and he had become homeless in Mecca, and his wife Khadija radiallahu anha had passed away, and his supportive uncle had passed away, and there were hardly any Muslims around him, and there was a bounty on his head for anyone to capture him, dead or alive. So Rasulullah ﷺ left Mecca looking for a home. He was destitute. So he said, they told me to go Ta'if. I thought maybe in Ta'if there were Arabs there who would have some compassion to me. When I reached over there, they were very harsh to me, and they said this and that to me. He didn't mention to Aisha, I don't know what they said. We know what they said later on when his formerly adopted son Zayd ibn Thabit radiallahu anhu said what he heard. These men said the most horrible of words to the Prophet ﷺ, and they treated him with the worst bullying and treatment you can ever imagine. Rasul ﷺ was alone and vulnerable, and he left. He said, I left with my head filled with worry, filled with distress, and I said to myself, why would they do that to me? And he said, as I was walking, you know, when a person is so distressed, you walk and walk and you don't realize how far you've walked from the pain and agony. If you've ever been in that situation, you just realize you've walked kilometers, maybe 10, 50 kilometers. You don't realize how far you've gone because your mind is so occupied with the stresses and worries. So he had been, what he got from them was terrible. He says, suddenly I came to my senses and found myself in a place called Abwa, I think it was called Abwa, or somewhere in another name there, where there were two mountains behind me. Suddenly Jibreel alayhi salam came to me, and he said to me, Ya Rasulullah, Allah has heard what they said to you and did to you. And with me is the angel of the mountains. He seeks permission to speak to you. He says, let him speak. The angel of the mountain says, Ya Rasulullah, Allah heard what had happened to you. Command me whatever you want me to do to them. If you want, I can grab those mountains behind you and crush them. I can destroy them all and annihilate them. Just order me. And the Prophet ﷺ replied, بل أرجو أن يخرج الله من أصلابهم من يعبد الله وحده لا يشرك به شيئا. He says, oh no, don't do that. For I hope that if not them, but the next generation out of their loins and lineage in the future will come out, who will worship Allah alone and not make any partners to Him whatsoever. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is not thinking about himself. And even if this generation doesn't want to accept, He is feeling mercy and compassion for the future generation that is not even born yet. Why not feel for the generations that are to come, who also may have a chance of entering paradise and believing in Allah after His death, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And such is the reason why Allah called Him, "You are a mercy sent to the world."